This is a clip from the Red Cow Arcade podcast.
So I come home from jury duty. I'm like, I'm glad that's over with. Now I can finally get back to life. And it was Tuesday. I started to get the old scratch in the throat.
Oh, no.
And I haven't had one of those in 2 years. I haven't been sick for a really long time. I've been working out. I thought that made me immune to illness. It seemed to for a while.
Made me immortal.
I didn't get Omicron during January, you know when the cases were through the roof. And, I think I had it. I think I had COVID in early 2020, but my doctor disagrees strongly. So I'm not going to, I never tested positive. But yeah, I started to get the tickle. Now, Nina had been complaining, like she had like straight up laryngitis for like 2 weeks where she like couldn't speak. Like whisper speaking and coughing. And she insisted it was spring allergies. And Gloria didn't have any symptoms. And Nina was testing that whole time. Mm-hmm. So she felt pretty certain that and I think she, like her hospital even made her get like a PCR and she just kept testing negative. But I get the tickle. I go for a run that day, Tuesday. I go, well, if I have symptoms, because Wednesday is my on-site day, I go, I better not go in. So I find myself resting on Wednesday, and then Thursday I get hit, like, by COVID. I tested positive on Wednesday night. And, I had, like, fever just that one night, and then it went away. But fatigue, like you wouldn't believe. Sore throat, like... I don't know if you've ever had like a sore throat where you're like horrified by like the next time you're gonna have to swallow, especially when people tell you to drink a lot.
Absolutely, I had one of those where it just I lost poundage because my sore throat was so bad.
Yeah, that's terrible. Because it's like if you cough, that's gonna trigger the suffering of your throat, and if you swallow anything, so there's that going on for a while. Mostly it was that. There was some head congestion, more so now. I didn't really have, they talk about shortness of breath and like chest congestion. I didn't really have that so much. I could always get like a big deep breath still.
Yeah, so it must be like these later strains, which is more upper respiratory, right?
Yeah, it was really throat and tired, and like one night of fever. But tired. That was like the big thing. Was like I couldn't like again, like normally I'm tied to, I'm very attentive and responsive to my work stuff. And it was just like, you've never heard from me less than that day. I was just, falling in and out of sleep. I do have the bed that goes up and down, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But much like jury duty, it's like the biggest stress is just finding out that like, oh, I'm going to have to reschedule everything. And oh shit, that means Gloria is exposed. So that means she has to stay home. And Nina does too. And so bit by bit, Nina tested positive that like same day, but she was She has remained asymptomatic the whole time, which I think is pretty badass.
Yeah. I wish the roulette, man. That's a roulette.
Yeah. I wish I could say like I had COVID and I didn't even know it. And Gloria tested positive and she started having symptoms yesterday, but they've been purely fever. So you give her Tylenol every 12 hours or something, and she comes out of it. And we had like one, when you have a big episode with your kid, we had one last night that was like, she was like too delirious to get down the Tylenol, and she like threw it all up. And so that like caused like a lot of extra problems. Yeah. Everybody's too tired to be dealing with that.
Yeah, I know that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Especially like, when a kid like throws up in the middle of the night or something, you're like, I do not have the brain power to deal with this.
Yeah, like wow. And you sort of have to like negotiate it with your wife too, or you're like, who's doing what here exactly? But we got some practice with that because we had dogs.
And
they were geriatric dogs at one point, so there was a little bit of like, how are we gonna get a little bit of practice with needy dogs. Overall, I mean, it definitely sucked for that day and a half, but so the big part of my story is my mom is very afraid of COVID. She's a school nurse, and so she I think would feel that 2021 stigma of like if she were to get it, it means that she had a great failure of some kind.
Some sin.
Yeah, some terrible sin. And so she was like, you should contact your PCP about getting the antiviral pills. And I was like, what are you talking? I was like, because my mom is very like on the like trust the science side of things, and so I was like, she's not talking about like Joe Rogan's.
Yeah, you're not getting horse dewormer here.
Yeah, like, she's not talking about that. Is she?
She's like, bro,
Yeah.
ivermectin.
I got a doctor.
He's got some fish cleaner over here.
Yeah, I was like, is that what she's talking about? But no, it turns out there's this, this stuff called Paxlovid. There's also this like antiviral infusion you can get too, which I think really would wake you up. But you call your doctor and ask if you qualify. And by that, they mean they were reserving it for elderly people or people that were at risk. But I think they have like an abundance of the stuff for some reason. Or the CDC is trying to make it more available because
nobody's like, I don't even, when you said that, I didn't know what you were talking about. I thought you meant you got some ivermectin. I thought you meant you got some horse dewormer from the feed store.
Like he really has gone off the deep end, hasn't he?
You were sucking down a tube of ivermectin. Going, nay! But no, I didn't even know. I didn't know that there was a pill of any kind.
Yeah, and it's not used in veterinary clinics or anything. Yeah, it's like my mom said it. Like if you've ever heard of Terraflu, I think it's called.
Tamiflu?
Tamiflu, yeah, Terramaflu.
The Terraflu.
Terramaflu. Yeah, it's just meant to curb your side effects, and but it's you have to be prescribed. It was the greatest doctor's visit I've ever had in my life because I had failed to keep up with my PCP, as I've mentioned in previous podcasts. And now that I was all established with them, all I had to do was call. They called me back 2 hours later, asked me how it was going, and prescribed me this stuff. And I don't know if I would have gotten over it just as quickly or what, but in like a day, I went from bedridden to like, oh, I'm good.
Well, that's great. And I hope it becomes more of it. If it does work, I hope it becomes more available to more people.
The one thing there's two issues with it. One is that there's like this aftertaste from the pill that does not go away.
Really?
This bitterant that's there for like hours. The first 24 hours of using it, the amount of this is gonna be really gross. The amount of like expectorant, the amount of mucus that came up. Just like, I don't know, I think it was like trying to just get rid of all of the viral shit. It was insane. It was like just like water coming out of me.
Wow.
It was fucking gross and really really hard to like manage. But Gloria was like seeing some of it, and she goes, "Oh, that's so disgusting."
You're disgusting, Daddy.
She's like, I don't want to see you doing that with the tissues. Side comment
some
about
COVID
Gloria.
shaming.
Yeah,
even though she has COVID.
Yeah, exactly. We were playing Toy Story 3 on Xbox again. She wants me to play the same stupid levels over and over again. And Woody crashes through like these like toy blocks as one of his moves, and she goes, "That must really hurt his penis." And I go, "Well, I think he's a toy. I don't think that he has a penis." And she pauses for a while, and she goes, "Okay, you make a good point." I was like, where did she come up with this language? Oh my god, that's so disgusting.
That's so disgusting.
Don't do that with the tissues.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's COVID. I hear that getting Omicron and stuff helps you or mitigates the likelihood that you'll get other kinds of common cold strains as well.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
I think it's receding into the common cold area potentially.
I'll tell you this, without getting political, it's not bad enough to upend civilization itself.
Well, and that's the trajectory of most viruses is that they get tamer over time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's tamer for sure. But I think I got on the worse side of average probably.
That's interesting. Yeah, especially since you're like double vaxxed and boosted and all that,
and healthy and shit. Yeah. Yeah, I imagine if my cardiovascular was weaker, it would have been more painful for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's good you've been working out.
I recommend it. But yeah, if anybody ever gets COVID, call your PCP and ask about Paxlovid.
Ask.
Because it really did help me.
Ask about ivermectin.
Call your local vet and ask about.
Say nay. 1 2, please, and some apples.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.